Welcome everyone to another episode. It's your host here, Annalena, and today I want to talk a little bit more about this new focused energy here in this podcast about living in your genius and why this is so dear to my heart. So for my own journey as an adult and now an entrepreneur for over 6, 7 years, I have learned a few things. And one of them is definitely that we get to choose. Yeah, we have the option to decide if we want to go onto this predetermined path that often society sets for us, or that we actually follow our heart. And many of us know this typical scenario of like, okay, you're going to go to school, maybe many of us to college, and then you go do the job that you were trained in college, and most likely that's going to then pay the bills for the rest of your life. You're going to create some savings, and then you have a little bit of happy time in retirement, right? But there's this very heavy focus on, getting a job that pays enough money. So there is, in a way, a focus on money. And of course, we live in a society where that's also very important. It's also understandably because money, financial resources is one of our very basic needs. That's how society, as of today, is still mostly functioning, where the exchange is with money. And I also think we have become, unfortunately, highly dependent on money. And so many of us have sacrificed following our heart for the sake of just doing what we're supposed to be doing. And we have prioritized following jobs that give us, in a way, a guarantee to give us a good living. But then again, regardless of, do we really love it? Do we really enjoy it? Is this really meaningful work we are doing? And I think this has resulted globally to a little bit of a dilemma because so many people feel exhausted, can really resonate with the term burnout. They may feel deeply unhappy within themselves. And I find there's also, because of this almost addictive tendency for all of us to keep searching for happiness, to keep searching for the next thing that's going to give us this fulfillment that we don't get to experience from the profession that we have chosen, so many of us. So, and I was there, right? I was working in corporate for so many years, and I could sense that this is just not what it's meant for me. And I felt bored. I felt underused in my natural gifts and talents. And at this time, I had no idea about human design, astrology, gene keys, any of this. It was just something within myself that was telling me, you're not really meant to be here. And I was deeply scared because I did not believe at the time that I had the capacity or the courage and whatever you want to name it to actually embark on a path of the total unknown, just following my heart, following what feels right in my body, and doing that, and trusting that this will also help me pay my regular bills and be what's supporting me and my family. But I did it. This was meant for me. I have shared many times before, this was absolutely not easy. There were many ups and downs on the journey, but it was so worth it. And this is one of the reasons why this podcast is here today, which I have been doing now for over 3 years. And along the way, I have been sharing a lot of my journey. And I really have come to realize that while we humans always make it so complicated, in a way, it's actually simple. So when we shift our focus to how can I do meaningful work, and meaningful work is, where you really feel like the work you're doing is helping other people. Here, the concept of the gene keys really comes in for me of how can I be of service? And when we combine this also with the willingness and commitment to be more in our zone of genius, this is this concept from Gay Hendricks from the book, The Big Leap. And when we merge these two, I think that's really where the magic unfolds, because anytime when we focus on something, this is something we learn in quantum physics and most conscious manifestation teachings, is that when you really focus your energy on something, you start to attract it, you start to create momentum, and all the things that can help you with manifesting this actually come into your life. Now, it's very important that this comes from your heart space and it's a genuine intention rather than, just thinking with your mind what your ego thinks you want. And this is really, I think, a pure intention that is not super specific, because it's really about, I want to help as many people as I can with the unique gifts that I was given. And I have no idea how this is going to look like, but this just feels right in my heart. And this is something that I have learned through my journey as an entrepreneur, that over all these years, anytime where I just focused on, what am I really good at, but there wasn't the focus of how can I also be of service to people, something was missing there. And also anytime when I had the main focus of, oh, how can I make the most amount of money, there was also a disconnect, And when I started to realize, when I follow and allow myself to lean into my God-given talents and gifts, that again, so many times we don't see this ourselves, what those are. This is why I'm doing the work that I do, especially with human design, gene keys, and true sidereal astrology. But the more we see them, the more we use them, and we have this big intention in our heart to do meaningful work that is really here to make a big shift and a big difference in other people's lives. That's how I feel we can really shift and change things on a global level. And I truly imagine that as more and more people have the courage to step into their unique calling, into their unique purpose, their unique genius, that we can make a change in the world. It starts with you. So often I see that there are things in the world we disagree with, right? We don't like, we resist them, and we're like, we need to change them. And then we try to fight it, and we disagree, and we create awareness about it. And we put all our energy into something that we do not like. And there's this one quote that I want to share with you that really brings clarity to this, is by Buckminster Fuller. It says, "You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a model that makes the existing model obsolete." So powerful, right? Because it really talks about how when we're in a place of resistance of what is, so for example, we could say like, there's so much corruption in the world and we want to fight it and we want to go against it and make people stop doing it. We are in a place of resistance, and what we resist tend to persist. And actually, we focus more on it, right? In terms of quantum physics, we actually create more of that which we do not want. And if we have the courage to just let it be, we don't have to be ignorant about it. We have to allow ourselves to see it, and okay, also from a place of understanding and perhaps compassion. Because every human, I think, or any movement that we have in society is also a reflection where we are collectively. And it's all part of shedding our wounds and bringing our shadows to light, so more of the higher gift frequencies can come about, so we can up-level in consciousness. And it's also, in a way, I think it's a test for us. Like, hey, are you tempted to fall into this? Also lower frequency of trying to fight it? And I think with what we have going on in the world today, there may be a lot of things that can really upset you, and we want to fight. Now, if instead of trying to go more into this resistance and trying to fight things that we don't agree with, what if you're going to use that precious energy to actually focus on you and what you can create? Like, what do you stand for? What do you believe in? And this is a realization that I've had for myself a while ago, where I was like, okay, it's also not just fighting some other things. And I'm also good at many, many things. This is also why previously the podcast name was much more broader, because I wanted to cover any kind of topic that I wanted and experiment and have fun. And that was great. But over time, I started to realize that The more I focus on what comes really easy to me, what I really love, this is the zone of genius, the thing that comes effortless to me. If I focus more on this, I can really create a ripple effect here because I believe that I was given this gift for a reason. For me, I have noticed this through the work with human design and gene keys so many times. One, it comes just so easy to me when I talk about it, when I teach about it and bring my own interpretations into everything. It literally like effortlessly flows out of me. And I have caught myself so many times thinking that just because I know this and it comes easy to me, it comes easy to everyone. And I think that's the biggest misconception for all of us to catch, that no, it comes easy to you and it feels effortless, even though, yeah, you may work hard, but there's still this sense of enjoyment in that. And it does come so easy to you because you are meant to share this. I truly don't believe that God gives us a gift so we can just hold it all to ourselves and be selfish with it. You know, it really makes perfect sense that what flows through us, it's literally like we are being this channel for the divine. And as we let this energy flow out of us effortlessly, that's how we can really create a change and a ripple effect in this world. And you and I, we're going to have very different geniuses. Even if like the area is the same or similar, like let's say you may also feel really called to bring more of human design into the world and teach it. Now, just because I do it doesn't mean you can't do it, right? Because you're going to do it in your very, very unique way. It's going to be very different, and you're going to attract a whole other group of people than I will attract. Maybe there's going to be some overlap. Maybe we're going to collaborate in the future, all possible. And it's so important for me. And again, it's so dear to my heart that I empower as many humans as possible to first see what their genius is, because this is literally something we often tend to deflect. We don't recognize it as anything special. And then help you take action on it. Because even though this is our zone of genius, it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to be easy. Because most of us, we have gone through a whole amount of, we call this conditioning in human design, where, we have put on masks of who we should be, of how we should be and do in this world to be successful. So in a way, we have taken on false identities. And the thing is that while we may be aware that this is not really who we are and we want to be in our zone of genius, this conditioning leads to us actually feeling safe being this false persona in some way. And that's just something that is not the easiest to change. We can absolutely do it like one step at a time. This is also why I feel so passionate about having a more strong focus here on this podcast about helping you live more in your genius so that you one step at a time can let go of anything that is not aligned with your zone of genius and share this gift more boldly with the world. Now, as we're stepping more into this unique essence that we are, you're going to also really bring out what makes you different from everyone else. And this is often scary to us because also we feel more safe, yeah, just fitting in, being like everyone else, not ruffling any kind of feathers. Most of my clients, including myself, there is a very big fear of rejection, fear of criticism. What are people going to say? What if people are not going to get me? Because that's really what's coming up when we step more into this unique essence. Because it may be completely groundbreaking. It may be something where people are going to be shocked initially, like, oh my God, wow, but this is not what we have learned. But as you bring your unique essence, your genius into the world, guess what happens? You start to inspire one person at a time to also be more in their unique essence, in their genius. Because most likely what happens when you are more in your zone of genius and you focus on being of service to others, you're gonna radiate this vibrant energy out into the world. You are oozing fulfillment and happiness. Because that's really what happens when we're following this God-given path. It's like this confirmation, like, yes, I want you to be here, so more of it. And we feel better, we feel more good. We, again, radiate this life force energy out into the world. And it's in a way a very contagious, beautiful energy where more and more people are like, huh, what is he or she doing? I want to do it too. And then they're going to step into this in their own unique way. And you see this a lot in the world, I think, with artists, with singers, with poets, with authors. They are so radically being themselves and they don't hold back from ruffling feathers. They're just expressing what comes naturally through them. Yesterday, I saw something, I think it was on YouTube. I think it was Alice Cooper, like really like rock star energy. And you could think it's like, it's a little bit dark and kind of, but he's actually, I saw a very short interview with him, and he's actually very religious, believes in Jesus, and does a lot of really good things to help other people. And, he said like, yeah, but this persona, this Alice Cooper, that's just who I am. And he shared how his music and his lyrics, while for some people they don't resonate at all and they may find them totally not good at all. He said, like, I have had so many people that told me, like, oh my God, this song, you saved my life, you know? And there's going to be another singer that's Taylor Swift, for example, totally different kind of energy. There's no right or wrong. Each of them is for a very unique group of people. And through their essence that they're bringing out into the world, which again is so different in these cases, they're reaching different kind of people. And again, like it may just make a person's life better that one day. It may save a person's life. It may inspire another person to also step into their genius more. So this is really how I believe that we can create a ripple effect in this world, as every single one of us has this courage and we're moving through these fears and we're letting go of this old conditioned self that has to fit into society and be like everyone else and follow the traditional path, and really dare to live this most beautiful, most magnificent life that, again, I think for most of us, we haven't even tapped into. And even for myself, while I consider myself very well on my path of expressing and living in my genius so much more, and I have a lot of clarity on it already, I think it's just the beginning. It keeps evolving. And one of the things that is extremely important, I find, this reminder that it takes time. You gotta be willing to experiment, to have fun, to try things out. It's not like that, especially with the conditioning we have, that we just sit down and all of a sudden like, oh yeah, this is my zone of genius. It's totally clear. And I'm not ever going to sabotage myself, because as we live our genius more and things start to feel good, we're probably going to be a little bit on alert and like, oh, I'm not used to this. Let me revert back to playing small and fitting in. So I'm not going to ruffle any kind of feathers. And I want to just mention this also. Some of you may know this already. So I have been sharing on my YouTube channel every day for the last 2 weeks already my journey with this book. It's called Your Big Leap Year by Gay Hendricks. And this is something that I wasn't planning at all. It just came through on my birthday to actually do this. I have already known about him and this concept. He actually brought this term zone of genius into the world. And it talks about this upper limit problem. That's kind of what I was referring to when, things start to go really well. We put like a limit here and revert back to sabotaging ourselves. So things are more of a struggle or in an energy that is more used to or more familiar for us, right? And so he wrote this whole book about it. And the first book was the Big Leap book, which is very popular in the coaching space. And now last year he published the book Your Big Leap Year, where he really breaks down this journey of living more in your zone of genius through very little chapters daily, 365. And I started to share these little insights every day and what it means for me. And I'm also infusing it with human design and Gene Keys reflections there as well. So if you additionally next to my podcast want to receive a little bit more insights and some daily accountability to get more into this habit, you're invited to join me there as well. I make sure I will drop the playlist to this also in the show notes for that. And one final thing I want to mention, this is also something I have learned through this book. It all starts with willingness, because you may not know right now, like you may still be in a corporate job and you may feel inside, this is not for me. I'm definitely not loving it. I'm not really good at it, but I'm doing it anyways. And it's not about just leaving it all behind and changing your life 360-degree overnight. Obviously, that doesn't work. We really have to take it small steps every day. Just like when you have never ran in your life and you want to run a marathon, right? You better start small, otherwise we get injured. So as you're willing, you really open yourself up to guidance from God, to guidance from the universe, and you're willing to follow your human design authority, which means you're getting out of your head and you're following more what feels right in your body, which oftentimes doesn't make sense. And it's most likely not going to be a linear process. I mean, my entire entrepreneurial journey, including with this podcast, has not been linear. There have been so many ups and downs and different directions and different insights. And it has been a journey of refinement and improvement, joyful improvement over all these years. And it has brought about more confidence, more clarity, a bigger reach to people that I am here to serve. And so for you too, just be willing for now. Check in with yourself. Are you willing to get clarity on what your genius is? Let go of needing to know what it is right now. Maybe some of you, you're like, I know very well what my zone of genius is. But I have been, thinking that, oh, that's not how I can make money. And I have been telling myself all these stories that are holding me back from actually more stepping into this. And then after the willingness, which is more the feminine energy, then comes this commitment. Commitment is more leaning into action. This is all the energy of gate 29 in the human design chart. And I think every single day, there are definitely things that we can do, that we can take action on more towards our zone of genius. And let me tell you, it will require you over and over again to get out of your comfort zone. Even this last week, as I'm going through this change myself with a podcast name and focusing more on living your genius, there were thoughts are coming up, self-doubt, no, you shouldn't do it, a little bit of fear even before I went on recording this podcast episode. And I actually took a little pause and I really allowed myself to feel and release some of these feelings. And I waited a little bit. And then all of a sudden I had this like flood of clarity come through. I took a couple of notes, what I wanted to really bring into this episode here today to also be of most service to you. And it's possible. It's possible for all of us. And I think we just need some inspiration. We need some accountability. That's what I'm here for you. And with that, I also want to remind you that I do offer human design readings if you feel called to book one with me. There's also an amazing intuitive human design teacher training and certification come up that starts in March 2025. And this is for those of you that feel really called to bring the magic of human design gene keys, especially now with this twist into the true sidereal world, into the human design community, because there's so many people that are ready for it. I can tell you that in my audience, this is what's being requested the most. And people are just open and willing to explore new, different facets, even more aligned facets for them. And I really believe that there's something with this true sidereal energy, which is really what's straight up in the sky, that is so connected to our innate nature and essence, which is that genius that we all carry, that is so unique to every single one of us. I also wanted to mention that overall, there's not really so much changing with the podcast. It's really this more targeted focus on supporting you to live in your genius. That energy is just very, very important for me, because that has a lot to do with what my zone of genius is, to help you with that. So you will still have the opportunity to apply to be coached by me on this podcast. By the way, we will have the first episodes with that come out in the near future. And you can also submit your topic request. I will also put all the links for that in the show notes again. And I will keep focusing on the core teachings of human design, gene keys, especially with this more focus now on true sidereal astrology. And I will also bring in some guest speakers, like I have done in the past as well. Not everybody is using human design and gene keys like I do for getting in touch with their zone of genius, you know? So I will also bring other people on that are really embracing their zone of genius and listen to them and let them share what has helped them with that. I think there's so much wisdom we can gain from hearing different perspectives and experiences. And so we can all learn from this. So this was just very important for me to let you know as well. With that, I'm sending you so much love, so much blessings. Thank you for listening, and I'm very excited to be back with you on the next episode. Bye, everyone.